Everybody. I hope I'm not. Can you hear me? I don't see anything moving. Oh, there we go. I see the things moving. Tonight, we're going to just kind of take a deeper dive into the Breakfast Club interview with Rich Dennis, the actual CEO of, well, he's not the CEO, he's the owner of Essence Ventures and also Sundial Beauty Products, which owns Shea Moisture and a few other, well, he sold Shea Moisture, but it owns a plethora of beauty products. I didn't want to play it through StreamYard because I don't want a copyright issue. So I'm going to play it from my phone. Of course, you've got to stop and start and go back. So as you come in, please sit down, like and share, please, and subscribe to the page if you like what you're going to see. I'm going to put up a banner. Just a second, let me put all right. Fair use notice. This video uses copyrighted material strictly for purposes of commentary, criticism, and education under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. This qualifies as fair use. I'm going to put a banner up, I believe, and we're just going to let that ticker go across, and I'll remove this. So on yesterday morning, I believe, it was yesterday morning, that the Breakfast Club went live and they had Dennis, I think his name was pronounced Richelieu Dennis, they call him Rich, on as a guest. And he spoke about the Essence Festival, kind of cleared up some things, and he spoke about how the changes with Essence, what his intention and what his views are for Essence going forward in the future. And I found it very interesting. I think it cleared up some misconceptions. A lot of complaints were about Mrs. Caroline Wangu, or Wega, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And she actually is on leave. She wasn't even at Essence Festival. I'm going to cut this light down because it is super, super bright. See if that works. That's a lot better. And she actually was on leave during the Essence Festival, and apparently she's been on leave for some time. So she wasn't even a part of Essence, even though people were blaming her for some of the downfall of the Essence Festival. So I'm going to be stopping, of course, and going back to the video. I'm going to use another device to play it with because, I don't want to play it through StreamYard and there be an issue with copyright because I am using copyright information. So just want to use the voice. And I'm gonna give you my commentary, what I think about what he says. Okay, this video is roughly about an hour long, I think an hour, 4 minutes. And some of the questions were asked. A lot of people thought it was gaslighting. I didn't take it as gaslighting. I thought that he, again, cleared up some misconceptions. And I do understand a lot of people who have not ever been to Essence probably see it as something totally different. But I don't. And so I think that it's worth hearing the person who actually funds this venture and all of the things that he has, that he actually offers us as African Americans, because he's actually one of us. He's an American citizen. So let's go ahead and get started.
Wake that ass up.
Let me know if you can hear it.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa is here as well. And we got a special guest in the building. He has so many titles. Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Richard, well, go ahead. I was going to say he's the executive chairman of Sundial Group of Companies.
That's right. We have Rich Dennis here.
Yes. It is a group of companies. Tell them some of the companies, Richard.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As I was saying earlier, it feels like, every couple of years.
You got to talk to the mic. Talk to the mic. You should know this.
Every couple of years. No, I only. But so
Sorry about
Sundial
that.
Group of companies consists of Sundial Media Group and Media and Technology Group. So that's Essence, Refinery 29, Afropunk, BeautyCon, and a few other media assets. Sundial Financial, which is New Voices Fund, in which we invest in businesses. One of the largest investors in Black-owned businesses.
So at this point, he's just talking about his businesses, what he has, what his companies are, and his ventures. I want to kind of skip forward to where he actually talks about the Essence Festival.
I want to say it's very important. What you do and have done is so important, and even more important now. When you see all these DEI initiatives getting rolled back, when you see these fundings, when you see this funding for these Black organizations and Black companies getting cut, all we're gonna have is us.
That's it.
To invest back in each other.
That's it. You know, and part of that is if you don't create wealth, we don't have us to invest back in each other, right? Then we're constantly needing to have other people support us to. I mean, look, you know, we've got changes in healthcare coming, right? We've got changes.
So they've kind of hit on the Essence Fest, the reason for it. And of course, the reason is to invest back into Black businesses. So at Essence, of course, they have all of the vendor spaces. Of course, they have the sponsors as well, which get bigger areas. But then you have the vendor spaces that are small, that are set up to sell goods back to, and they're Black-owned businesses to sell back to people. So let's see if I can move to where we're not talking so all the other fluff, but more about Essence. Let's see.
The only thing that we can control is our economic destiny, right? And so I'm fiercely protective.
And you can find this video on
if we don't have that,
the Breakfast Club
and to do that,
Power 105.7, I believe, or 5 on YouTube.
We've got to build infrastructure.
I'll put the link
to support
in my
businesses.
comment section.
And we've got to train up people so that they can run those businesses, right? All things that we all know are missing from our community infrastructure today. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we're here to do the work.
Now, of course, trending over the last couple of days was the Essence Festival.
Yep.
31st Essence Festival. Some people were upset.
31
Some
years.
people were mad about timing. Some people said it wasn't as packed as it usually is. They were mad that Target was a sponsor. So I know you're here today to break some of that down. So
yeah,
what happened, I guess, Essence Festival weekend?
Yeah. So first of all, a lot of the criticism is warranted. A lot of it is not, right? There's always an explanation for things that go wrong.
Hey there, girl, Riri. Thanks for joining me tonight. Right. We're listening to, I am listening to Rich Dennis, which is the executive officer of Essence Venture. And he is talking about, he's actually taking a lot of accountability of what has transpired during the Essence Festival weekend. So I'm going to be playing it off and on and giving a little bit of commentary with it.
My job is to balance that all out, right? So we have an incredible team that's running Essence Festival.
Right now he's talking about
they have
what went wrong at Essence.
That when you look at it, if you look at the scale of what it is today, that competes against the best in the world, right? Without the resources of the best in the world, right? And without the access that the best in the world has, right?
Well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
I'm extremely proud of that team. I'm also proud of the fact that they took risks that we don't normally get to take in order to build something better. And some of those risks worked out exceptionally well. Like you go into the convention center, extraordinary, right? We had problems in production with the mics. That happens, seems to happen more in the Superdome or in domes rather. But we had problems there. Those problems will be addressed because they're easily addressable. There's reasons for why that happened. At some point, we can get into that if you want to.
And one thing, really, I just came back from Essence on Sunday as well. We went to Essence though. You say you just flew back from NOLA, but yeah, we were actually at Essence. But I will say this: what he just said about the mics being bad in the Superdome. I've been to several concerts during Essence at the Superdome, and I will say this: the sound is always weird. It's not like the sound is always off. Now, as a actual person who is working this, the actual behind the scenes, because as we know, Stephanie Mills actually she penned an open letter to Essence complaining about the things that happened while she was there. And she said the mics were just wrong, the sound was wrong. And I understand that, because as a consumer of concerts at Essence, the sound is sometimes off, and I'm gonna say sometimes. Every time, and I was my first year that I went to concerts, because I used to not go to concerts. We did the 3-day pass for all 3 days, and every night I was like, maybe tomorrow to be better. Next night, oh God, this sound is horrible. And then the higher, if you're on the floor, I'm not sure what the sound is. We normally get in that second level, and the sound, it was crazy. So we went higher up to see if the sound was better, and it still was crazy. It almost makes your ears ring. And it could be because this is a place that they play football in, not so much have concerts. So there has to be some type of absorption for the sound. Just like if you have a house that doesn't have furniture, if you go in, you're gonna hear echoes, because once the furniture comes in, it kind of absorbs the sound.
But we had over 40 acts over the 3-day weekend in the Superdome, right? Best talent in the world. And
so 40 acts over 3 days. And of those 3 days, those were the concerts, which is another reason why the concerts go so long. They're trying to pack so many artists into one night. I think the first night started with a couple local artists or just not very well known. And then you had Babyface, and then you had I forgot who. It was some big heavy hitters that particular night. And then you ended it up with Lauryn Hill, which took till 3-something in the morning. So I think maybe that could be something they could do, reduce the amount of artists they use on any particular night, so that people can have a great experience and they can get back to their hotels or go out. Because once you leave the Superdome at 3:00 in the morning, there's nothing left to do but go to bed. Because unless you're going to go down Bourbon Street, which never closes, but you're tired normally after a whole night of dancing or whatever. So I really believe that that's something that they may need to look into, is the amount of artists they have on any given night, and maybe bring back super lounges without it being part of your VIP experience.
They deserve the best acoustics. They deserve the best production. Mm-hmm. And we'll give that to them. We've given that to them for 30 years. This 31st year, we didn't do as good a job as we normally do. And next year we'll do a better job than we've ever done, because we've learned what the issues were. So why would Lauren?
And him saying that they've done a good job for 31 years, I guarantee 30 years, and this was the worst year. I guarantee you, if I, as a consumer of the concerts, heard the sound being distorted, other people has. This isn't the first complaint he's had about the sound. So I know that he's probably sugarcoating that, because the sound's been off for some years.
So late. She said it wasn't her fault.
It absolutely was not her fault.
Okay. It was. She said she thanks y'all for actually stepping up and saying it wasn't her fault.
Yeah. Well, our job is to protect Black women. We're not going to sit here and say, hey, because she's taking the heat for it, we're going to be quiet, because that's not what we are. That's not what Essence is about. That's not what.
So that he actually took accountability for them putting Lauryn Hill on the stage at 2:30 in the morning, when in actuality she had been there on her call time when she was supposed to go on stage. It was not her fault. I know we brag on Lauryn Hill about some of the things she's done in concert, but the fact that she was put up at 2:30 was actually the Essence Festival fault. It was not hers. It was the administration of Essence.
We're building. There were production issues with the audio video system that caused the delay in her performance. We own that, right? Those delays.
The delays plus the concert got started an hour late.
Were primarily because we've been very aggressive in, as I said earlier, our job is to develop the infrastructure that drives Black businesses, right? So we also want to make sure that we're investing in the local businesses in New Orleans, right? And so our production partner.
All I got was Epic online through this is the most convenient way to get GLP-1s.
We have a commercial that's popped through because I'm playing it through YouTube. Let's go
from
back.
Our mandate and my team's directive, which
she did try this time.
We're very proud that we're able to do this. One of the things that
and I really believe Lauren has tried to turn a new leaf, even with her tribute to Roberta Flack. I just see a different Lauren, and I hope that she continues in that. She's a great singer, and she really hasn't put out a whole lot of albums, but her voice is timeless.
That is also satisfying, but scary, is that there are no more Black festivals around, right? We're about the only independent one left, right? And so what that means is that
now I don't know about that, Rich. There are several Black festivals. They may not be as big as Essence. They may not have the 3 days. We have to remember there's conclaves to all of the sororities and fraternities. So I'm not sure if they're the only Black festival. They may be one of the only big Black festival that lasts for 3 days.
People that get to produce these festivals, fewer and fewer and fewer of them have the resources and the access and the ability to run these large festivals because they're not getting those opportunities, right? I said to my team a year ago, is we need to go out and find the types of partners that we can develop and grow so that they have the opportunities to do these, right? So we probably should have been
Now, this is something right there, to develop partnerships with people who has the abilities to go out and start other festivals. So he knows that there is going to come a time that maybe Essence Festival will be a thing of the past. I'm not sure. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's what it sounds like I just heard. And with saying that, there will be people that will have to pick up the mantle and run on with it.
A little bit more thoughtful in the execution of that, right? But at the end of the day, I'm proud of the fact that they took the risk, right? Next year, we will have a local, well-trained, well-developed partner in that area because we got the experience we had this year.
So y'all just didn't have the right production team to pull off a show, a concert of that scale, basically, for the sound.
Yes, right? However, sorry, I just
go ahead.
Grab that, right? However, our job is to train them up. It's not their fault, right? It's our fault, right? We have to, if we're going to go that route, we have to continue to make sure that we're investing in their development and in their training. And we're going to continue to do that. And rest assured that will not happen again. I'm sorry, Lauren.
I was going to ask you, the production group company that you're talking about, is that separate from the Solomon Group company? Because there was articles about them working with you guys and people throwing a lot of blame on the Solomon Group people too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not any of our partners' fault. It's our fault because we engage them, we hire them, we pay them, we manage them. And it's our job to make sure that everything is delivered properly. I'm not going to sit here and say that.
Another point, he took accountability on the fact that someone tried to blame the Solomon Group. He brings in the Solomon Group. They actually plan the concerts and the Essence Festival. They're kind of like a planning committee. The issue with that is the complaint that people have is that the Solomon Group has been, hey, living for me. The Solomon Group has actually been planning and organizing the Essence Festival since 2012, long before he actually even purchased Essence. And so if this company is messing up, then that's something that he really needs to work with them on. Let's get back to the video.
Group's fault, or is this group's fault, or is that group's fault, right?
Rich, you're a nice guy.
At the end of it, well,
If I pay you to do sound, I'm not a sound guy. The sound's supposed to be right. I'm paying you a certain amount of money. The sound's supposed to be perfect. That's what you're paying for. You don't sit there with the mics and adjust levels and stuff. Like, you pay somebody
What about
for
the
production.
tardiness of the artist?
Yeah.
That was the other thing I kept hearing.
I agree with that, bad girl Riri. And what does that look like? Because Essence, again, this is their 31st year, and they've been successful in years past. So maybe he needs to revisit what made them a success. What was the initiative that they were using that was getting people there in the droves, and there wasn't a madhouse? Because I will tell you, this year, the convention center was a madhouse. And I don't want to get too far ahead of what they're talking about, but I really believe that as African Americans, and now we have everybody want an initial. Somebody been using the FBA, Foundational Black Americans. I don't know. I'm a Black girl, honey. I don't know anything about that other stuff. I don't want to dig too deep. I know who I am. But I really believe that they may need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what made Essence a success from day one, because it wasn't meant to be a every year festival. It was supposed to be the one party of the year, and it was so successful they continued it throughout these 31 years. So maybe they need to get back to the drawing board. Let's go back to the video.
I kept hearing people was, late.
But Lauryn Hill said she wasn't late though.
So let me get to that. But first, let me take this, right? It's not that I'm a nice guy. It's that I am trying to build something that's lasting. If I don't invest in people and I don't have the patience with them, plenty of people allowed me to fail, right? And because they allowed me to fail, I'm where I'm at today, right? My job in the role that I see myself playing is to make sure that when somebody fails, I'm there to pick them up, right? Because that's the other thing that we don't have the luxury of as Black people. We get one shot, right? And then you walk away. So we're going to take the hit. It's our fault. It's our responsibility. We will deal with our internal partners. Our internal partners will step up. And if they then don't step up to the plate, then they will be gone. But it will not be because they made a mistake here. It will be because they haven't been able to learn from those mistakes, right? So that's the answer there. I think you
which is fair to allow someone to make a mistake and then allow them to correct it. But let's put a caveat there. How do you allow someone who has been planning, organizing, and troubleshooting your event for, I like that he took accountability too. I appreciate that. I have mad respect because he did take accountability. But if someone's been planning your event since 2012 and is now 2025, so that's 13 years, how much are you willing to allow them to screw up? I'm being very honest. If someone's been doing something for me for 13 years, I don't know how much screwing up I'm going to let you do, and then I have to take responsibility for it. Because after a while, I'm going to be tired of taking responsibility.
asking the tardiness.
Yeah, because I read the open letter that Stephanie Mills wrote, and I love
God
Stephanie
bless her.
Mills.
God bless her.
I love Stephanie Mills, and what she said was, she's a professional. This is an OG veteran in the game. She said the challenges I encountered were multifaceted, and in my view, indicative of broader organizational shortcomings. The scheduling and time management were severely lacking, creating a chaotic and stressful environment backstage. This organization cascaded onto the stage, impacting the flow of the event and ultimately diminishing the quality of the performances. Then she got into the logistical issues. And she said beyond the logistical issues, the technical difficulties, which is what we just talked about, the sound system. She said all of that was deeply problematic.
Well, I mean, she said it. There's nothing to argue there, right? I
guess the why is what I'm asking.
Well, I think the why is one scale. Right. And when you start with the technical issues, as you guys are in this business, things have
we kind of already touched on the fact that Stephanie Mills had wrote open-penned a letter to Essence with her concerns about the quality of her sound and the technical issues that went on behind the scenes that she got. Like I said, as a consumer, I've heard the horrible sound from the audience. So I cannot imagine what it feels like to be an artist and as professional as Stephanie Mills is, to hear it from her side of the stage. So I'm glad he took accountability to that for that. And I hope that in the future that is something that they really get a handle of, because of course there goes a lot into the logistics of creating a stage and getting a building together, but you got to make sure that sound is right. I don't know of anybody who wants to get on stage and their sound is wrong. Even on Sunday morning, I sing on the praise team, we have to arrive an hour early just to go through mic check to make sure the sound is right for the church. So and our church isn't nearly as big, it's not even a quarter of the Superdome. So I can imagine what it's like, and the sound is really, really messed up.
Way of having domino effects, and they impact other things, right? So we're tracking all of that down. We've got, folks that have been working nonstop around the clock to make sure that we not just identify these. So whether it's Miss Mills or it's the security guard on the floor, or whoever it is, we're talking to everybody, and we're making the adjustments that we need to make. This isn't a matter of a connection means.
We got a commercial. Let's run it through because it's not gonna let me stop it.
Something. Oh no. Okay, that might be too connected.
But even in doing so of the Essence Festival, I just hope that everything works itself out for the Essence sake. He's back on. Let's get him back up.
Oblivious to these issues. This isn't a matter of, hey, we don't understand that there were challenges. We understand there were challenges. We're getting to the bottom of it, and we're correct.
I think I understand what you're saying as far as production, because we deal with that, especially in radio a lot of times, right? You're giving people an opportunity. You're giving people
Charlemagne
a chance,
kind of,
but they may not.
He
have
was beating
the
a dead horse
you
with
said
this.
You got to train them up.
Production
but man,
thing.
when you got something that needs to hit the ground running, I can't teach you how to run. I need you to already know how to run.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times too, because we don't get the opportunities, we may know how to run, but we may be rusty, right? I may not have done it in a year and a half, so things slip, right? I may have new team members that haven't really run it with me before, so I've got to figure out how to do that. So this is not.
Listening to Rich, he sounds really kind to be a business owner, right? A lot of business owners who have accumulated the wealth that he has aren't normally that understanding. He seems to be very understanding, very like, they make mistakes. Yes, he is a real one. They make mistakes. Let's work through them. Let's give them an opportunity to change. So I can imagine probably working for him is probably a good thing. I'm sure people really enjoy their jobs with him. So we can get past this part.
This isn't anything.
I don't want to linger in the production
business or to the music or the festival business. But I think it is particularly heightened because we care about the people that we care about, and the people that we serve care deeply about what it is that we're doing, right? So this criticism, I don't take it as criticism to criticize, although there is some of that, right? There's some piling on, there's all that, but that's part of the game.
A lot of piling on.
But people really care about what Essence means to them, and it's a source of pride for them, right? So we have to deliver that. That's why I'm here, right? So we have to be able to deliver that. We have to deliver that excellence every day. And so, 500 things may go right, and one thing may go wrong, or two things or 10 things may go wrong. We owe it to ourselves to say, hey, this isn't working, and B, for us to correct it. Right?
So I do have to ask, I go to Essence every year, right? And I was there this year. I actually spoke on one of the stages, the Suede Lounge.
How dope was that?
It was dope.
Yeah.
It was really dope. I mean, I love Essence because you get to see your core of people that you don't usually necessarily get to see, right? Everybody comes in one place, and
you don't see that at the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
I'm not Puerto Rican or black, stop that. But I really get a chance to see people, and not just at the convention center, not just at the concert, at restaurants, at day parties, at just being out and about. But I did notice that it wasn't as packed that it usually is, right?
Right.
Some people say it was maybe because of the boycott of Target. Some people say maybe, people can't afford it right now. What do you say to that? Was it Target? Was it, cost?
Yeah, look, I think we live in a world right now where there's so much uncertainty, right? And people are trying to figure out where this is all headed, right? They're hurting financially, or they're unsure of what's going to happen to them financially, so they're taking a beat on things and say, hey, how am I going to do this? There's a sort of deep sense of responsibility to just share everything, right, and to be as loud and as vocal and as visible as.
I think a lot of what he's saying is trying to answer the question and be politically correct. A lot of what is going on is just people pound on poop, right? And he's going to eventually get to that part in this conversation. He's going to say, he felt like most of the complaints were coming from people who actually were not even at Essence. I do agree with him about preserving the beauty and the fun of Essence. Essence is a good time. I mean, if you ever go to Essence, you meet people while standing in line, you meet people while at a restaurant. I share time with a group of ladies, and I was just sending them pictures. Girl, look and see who this is. They're like, Yandy. She's at the restaurant we're at. Super was at the restaurant we were at. And so you never know who you're rubbing elbows with, people who that you see on TV, and they're just everyday people that you see walking down the streets, hanging out in the French Quarters or going down through the Riverwalk, just having a good time. So I believe that we definitely, as a group of people, need to preserve Essence Festival at any cost at this point, because there's no need in some of the backlash we're getting.
As possible. So things that may not be fully understood get discussed in ways and in places that sound like they actually know what they're talking about. So at the convention center.
Before he goes to the convention center, I watched a lady this morning. She was given this information about Essence and about this actual video with the Breakfast Club. And she said, oh, they just sent that guy out there because the CEO didn't want to come out. And I was like, he owns it. This is the guy who bought this actual business from Time. The Time magazine owned Essence after the original owners sold it. This guy brought our history back to us, because there's no telling where it would be if Time magazine still had it. My guess, done away with, to be honest with you, because we know that they're not going to lose no money.
Again, phenomenal success. Here's why. Convention
Center was a success, is what he says.
There was a lot of lines, a lot of blockage of the aisles. Our elders couldn't move freely. They couldn't get from one place to another. So we made a strategic decision to increase the size by 100,000 square feet, right? What that enabled us to do was wider aisles, right? Spread the place out, tuck lines on the sides and away from the center aisle so people could move more freely, right? So when you look at that, you say, oh, there's fewer people here, right? And you couple that with an active boycott that's going on, right? And you couple that with all of the uncertainty that I just talked about. And then it's easy to come to that conclusion. Well, we had almost 50,000 people a day go through the convention center, and some days more, right?
50,000 people a day, previously 40,000. And to get into the Superdome, you had to have one of these bad boys. I mean, not the Superdome, into the convention center. They wasn't just letting you in. You had to have had a ticket. You had to have one of these. I don't know if you can see my screen. Probably not because its camera's so crazy. But this is my ticket for Essence. I had one for every day. I had one for the Jollof, and they were free. You just had to register, right? Now your concert tickets, that's a different price. So what he was saying is that they increase the amount of space so that they could accommodate more people. Because in years past, it's always been shoulder to shoulder, like you could barely move. This year there was a lot more space. I too thought there was less people there, but in actuality, he said it was because they had increased the space by 100,000 square feet.
Right. That's the first thing. So same numbers as last year, right? In the convention center, same numbers as last year. Better organized, better plan. That's the lessons that we learned last year, right? Now we got to turn our attention to our production in the Superdome and make sure that that's just as tight. You don't have any issues in the convention center, and
well, that's a lie, because you definitely had an issue in the convention center. In the back in BeautyCon, they were literally fighting, literally scrapping, knocking over barricades, squishing people trying to get in when there was clearly a line to get into. But we're gonna let that go.
Engaging with that many people a day, right? I think it's something like, I don't know, like 400 panels, right? 20-something thousand
right.
minutes of content, right? Like massive stuff, right? Scale stuff. The last part about that is it's all free, right? So when you come into that experience, the other thing that I think you noticed this year, for those of you that have been, is the elevation of the experience, right? The visuals, right? The content, the quality of the presenters, right? The quality of the presentations, extraordinary, right? I was extremely excited about the programming at Sway, right? For the first time, it wasn't an afterthought. A men's experience wasn't an afterthought. It was a real intentional experience and execution, right?
Well, break down what Suede is for people that don't know it and weren't there, because they might not know.
Yeah. So Suede is what is now.
So Essence is primarily an event for women, and this particular year they brought in activities for men, and they called it Suede. Because believe it or not, the men about to knock the women over trying to get in Essence. Why? I don't know. But the Silver Fox men were there from Houston. There were other guys there just to be a part of the Suede. So that was a really good thing that they did.
Essence's men's platform and experience that we're slowly building up, because if you go out there and you look in the media landscape today, there's nothing that's really focused on Black men in an elevated and aspirational way. And so Suede was actually a magazine that was owned by Essence, that was launched by Essence back in the day and was then shuttered shortly thereafter. And I looked at it and I said, what a cool name for men, right? And so we're gradually building that up. But I think from your experience there, you can see where we're headed with it.
I thought it was dope, and I think a lot of women all the time always look for men at Essence, right? There's a lot of relationships. There's a lot of women there, and they're looking for relationships. They're looking, so that Suede Lounge was a great opportunity for men.
Like you was looking for men.
I was actually on the panel, sir.
Okay, that's the best way to find a man. But I do want to say too, I want to stay on the economic point that Envy brought up.
I don't want to go too deep into their conversation, so I really admonish anybody to go listen to the interview with Rich Dennis. He also, a lot of people were saying that they didn't realize that Essence was free, that the convention center is free. So entrance into the convention center is free. Of course, once you get in, if you want to buy, if you want food, the food court, you purchase the food. In the back there where BeautyCon is, I actually did a haul on my video prior to this one, and I will put that in the in my comment section, if anybody wants to go back and look, I'll put a link in. But of the things that I got free, the things that I purchased, but there was I got a lot of stuff free. And I'll actually post pictures of what I got last year and the year before for free, because every year the giveaway items get better and better and better. One thing I did notice in the interview was, I don't even know the lady on the Breakfast Club because I don't watch them like that. But she said she didn't realize that the convention center was free. So people that are complaining about this being turning into Africa, Festival of Africa, there's really nothing to complain about. My daughter, she and I went to dinner Sunday after church, and that was the one thing she said. I was telling her, I said, have you ever heard of a FBA? Now, my daughter is a graduate from a HBCU, and she's very knowledgeable. I bounce a lot of stuff off of her, and she bounced a lot of stuff off of me when it comes to things that I know, things that she knows, and she's young, so I kind of ask her questions. And I said, do you know what FBA is? And she goes, FBA? No, Mom, I don't know what that is. So I said, I Googled it. It is Foundational Black America. She goes, what is that? She said, I think that, I hate to say this, my generation's gone too far. And I think so too. I think that we've got to get back to basics. Foundational Black Americans, they consider themselves people they built the foundation of the United States, or of America rather. But I think if we all looked back at our heritage, we all can at some point route ourselves to being the foundation of America, our ancestors rather, of being some part of the foundation of America. I've already spoke about doing my ancestry and how my grandfather's family was a white lady, or a Caucasian lady, who came from Scotland, who actually married a slave, my grandfather, my great-great-grandfather. And that's how my great-grandmother came about, how my grandfather came about with that pretty wavy hair I talked about. And then there's my mom's side of the family, which, as I dug deeper into her through ancestry and just going through things to find her, and I will go deep because that's one of my loves, is genealogy. As I went deeper into my mom's side, I got to my grandfather and my grandmother, and then I lose my grandmother altogether. Like my great-grandmother, once my grandmother was born and she married my grandfather, and as I go deeper into her past, it's like she just disappears, literally. Like there's no record of her, there's no grave. And that's something I've got to get deeper into. I kind of left her alone so I could dig a little further on my dad's side. But on my grandmother's father's side, my grandfather was this color. I don't know if, this was darker. He was this color. He was a really dark man with green eyes. I have cousins that have green eyes, beautiful eyes. My aunt, because colored eyes in Black people is a recessive gene. My mom had a sister who had the prettiest eyes. She had a son who had the prettiest eyes, has a grandson who has the same color eyes. None of us got that, but they got it. It came from my great-grandfather on my grandmother's side. And my great-grandfather, I can trace him back almost to a plantation. I lose him when it gets to 4 Negro boys, 3 Negro women, 2 Negro children. I lose my grandfather because there's no names. If there had been a name put with it, I probably could find them. But the very fact that they did not have a name attached to these people, just a color, makes it kind of convoluted to find. But I've done a lot of research when it comes to both sides, my mom's side, my dad's side. And my mom told me when I started this, Lord rest her soul, she said, baby, you're going to find out some things that you may not want to know. And I said, well, they ain't my secrets. They're not my secrets. They're somebody else's secrets. But I found out a lot of stuff. Not stuff that I wouldn't want to know, but I found out a lot of stuff, a lot of history. In fact, I have done so much research that my family members call me for pictures, for information. So with that, I'm saying the foundational Black Americans, and get back to my point, is that we all can kind of realize that we come from people who have helped build this country. None of us are probably exempt from that. At some point through our history, I'm sure we can take it back to being the foundation of America. Again, I've traced my grandparents' roots. My dad's family come out of Tennessee off of a plantation. So much and so that the people, they took on the surname of the people who own them, right? And so on one side of the highway is the Caucasian group of people with the same last name as my maiden name. And on the other side of the highway is the Black families with the same last name as my family had. The good thing about it was, well, I ain't gonna say good thing. They intermingled so that we're all kind of mixed up in there. There's a big pot. But they were able to document, I'll use that word, document the steps of where they came from, right? My mom's family, I took my great grandmother all the way to Scotland, her husband actually to Nigeria or to Africa. And they always use us. When you look at your DNA, if you ever done your DNA 23andMe, it's going to always throw you to Nigeria and to give you some other places. But it throws you to Nigeria because most African Americans, when they went back to Africa, they settled in Nigeria or Liberia. They went to those two different places. So that's a lot of times why they throw us in that, just to kind of throw you in a bunch. But they all came over here for one purpose, and that was to build America, right? So I think it's, again, I'm gonna say it again, dangerous to try to draw a wedge between Blacks and Africans and not really realize that we all are one, right? In the society and the day that we live in today, I don't think we need to be trying to divide us as not a race of people, but as a people of color. We do not need to, with the president that we have sitting in the White House, I don't need to be trying to fight with this lady next door or this lady next door or that man next door because I think I'm more of an American than they are. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I stand with that. I'm going to keep diving into this. I'm going to throw in some excerpts on my next live, maybe not my next one, on some more lives of things that he said. But I think we need to keep Essence going. And I know times are hard for everybody. But this complaint about them trying to bring in somebody else, we're going to Essence next year. We're not playing this little game. All righty. I'm going to get off of this line. I want you to go listen to that interview with Charlamagne in the Breakfast Club. The interview is an hour, 4 minutes, and some seconds, but it's a great interview. It is Rich Dennis took a lot of accountability. He put it all on me, is pretty much what he's saying. It's our fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. We've got to fix that. We've got to fix that. He kind of smudged on some other things that I thought were issues. And hopefully he can get those things fixed. Hopefully he listens to his general population that come to visit his event every year. So anywho, I'm going to go downstairs and spend some time with my husband. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night. If no one told you all day that they love you, I love you. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a good night.